at the future of the London Monarchs. With playoff hopes gone, Fred Air McNair is the quarterback London's hopes are resting on. But tonight, Fred may take a back seat as the Monarchs look to get back to winning ways against the Montreal Machine. Like London, the Machine's hopes of making the playoffs have gone up in smoke. Not even the breathtaking skills of veteran return man Pete Manley could keep them in contention. But they too are working towards a better future built around quality veterans like Manley. Hello, this is Nick Halling along with Mike Carlson welcoming you to the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. 3 weeks from today, the second World Bowl game will be staged here, but neither of tonight's teams will be involved in that matchup. The Monarchs haven't won since opening day. Instead, the Barcelona Dragons have wrapped up the European division and they're playoff bound. The Monarchs, along with the Frankfurt Galaxy, will be watching the postseason on television. The Machine began the season hoping they'd finish it with a World Bowl appearance in their own backyard, but it's not going to happen. Orlando have won the division, while the Machine have tumbled out of contention with 4 straight losses. Well, after losing against the Knights in Week 7, the Monarchs decided last week to put Stan Gelbar out to grass and turn the offensive reins over to Fred McNair for the trip to Orlando. But there was no magic turnaround. The Monarchs failed to score, although McNair was far from disgraced, Mike.
No, McNair completed 20 of 45, but was sacked 3 times and forced to scramble countless others. Stan Gelbar isn't as mobile, but his quick release enables him to stay in the pocket longer, and he may start today. Through the season, however, Gelbar has seemed unwilling or unable to play the short pass game that the World League's no-bump rule and those big umbrella zones offer. Gelbar's a deep threat, almost unmatched in the league, but this year his deep game has been taken away, and the Monarchs may miss McNair's mobility.
Well, the Machine have given up plenty of big plays through the air this season, and their pass coverage may have to work overtime should Fred McNair and Stan Gelbar between them open up the flight paths. But that's also true of London's overworked defensive backs, because the Machine have that big play man in former NFL veteran Pete Manley.
And Manley's rep with the Detroit Lions was made as much as a kick returner as a receiver, but in Montreal he's shown really good hands and possession moves, which are essential in that short pass game we were talking about in the World League. But making sure that the NFL scouts get the point. Don't forget that his game-breaking skills, the ones that make him such a threat on returns, haven't disappeared on his pass-catching either. And he's the guy quarterback Mike Proctor's always looking for.
Well, the Machine are coached by Jacques Dussault, but the driving force behind the team is probably General Manager Chet Franklin, who spent many years on the Raiders coaching staff along with Monarchs coach Ray Wilsey.
Chet Franklin, a very experienced football man and a good friend of mine, incidentally, that's why I mentioned it, I suppose, has taken on the responsibility of the general managership. And Chet knows what he's doing, and he's moved around in the football circles to assemble a pretty good group of players, and they will be improved.
Well, amongst that group of players are a couple of London Monarchs. Greg Horn, the punter, who was cut in pre-season, and Charlie Young, the running back, who was cut halfway through the season. Both of them now in Montreal colours, and with 1 or 2 points to prove, I suspect.
Yeah, and Charlie Young rejoins Aaron Emmanuel, who's the leading rusher for Montreal, and they played together at USC. So Emmanuel's a big blocking back, and Charlie Young may get a chance to run behind him at some point during the game.
Montreal prefer to run. They are 10th in the league in passing. Although Mike Proctor is at quarterback now, and he's much more mobile than Anthony Dilweg, the NFL enhancement player from Green Bay, who's out with an injury.
Right, and Proctor started all last season for the Machine and threw lots of interceptions, and that's really his problem. He's got a strong arm, he's not very mobile, he makes a lot of mistakes.
Well, mistakes are something that's common to both teams. Montreal can't pass. They rank 10th in the league in pass attacking. They are worst in the league in defending the run. But of course, the bad news for London is they have a very poor running game of their own, so they perhaps can't exploit that situation.
That's right, and that's one of the things we've been saying throughout the season, wondering where that running game was. And I think part of it is that they don't have the backs to take advantage of the offense they're running, and part of it is that that offense they're running can't take advantage of the backs that they have.
We are going to see a lot, I suspect, of one of your favourite players. I use the word advisedly, Jeff Alexander, because David Smith, they say, is not fully fit yet. Victor Bubadike, they don't seem willing to give him the ball, and against Orlando last week, it was Alexander virtually on every running down.
Yeah, and I don't think you can build a running game around Jeff Alexander as your running back, because he doesn't have the speed to break the long ones, and he basically is a dive back. He hits the holes with his head down. He's big and powerful. He'd make a great blocking fullback for some team, but he's not the guy to carry a one-back offense.
Well, we had a couple of results from yesterday as we see Ray Wilsey there on the sidelines getting ready for this game. A couple of results for you from last night. New York 47, Barcelona nothing. The Dragons really falling apart, but they've already made the playoffs. They have nothing to worry about.
A bit of relaxation, but New York now 5-4, so their hopes stay alive. It's still a long shot for them, but they've got a chance at that wild card spot.
But one of the reasons it's a long shot is that Sacramento defeated Ohio 21-7. Sacramento now have 7 wins and 2 defeats. If San Antonio beat Ohio tonight, as we see Jacques Dussault there on the sideline, if San Antonio beat Ohio, New York will not make the playoffs. As we see Jacques Dussault, the French-speaking French-Canadian head coach of the Montreal Machine.
And we could see a team with as few as three losses not go to the playoffs again this year.
Just like last year. So the Machine take the field.
You know, one thing we saw in that tease we ran at the top of the show, you saw a good shot of Ron Shipley blocking, and I think we just ought to say something. The offensive line for London has done a pretty good job, and number 76 Shipley has moved in at center after Doug Marone got hurt, and he's done a tremendous job for a guy who had never played center before.
Bjorn Nitmo will handle kicking duties for the Montreal Machine. Bernard Ford, number 80, is back deep along with number 88 Curtis McManus. Just about ready to get the Machine against the London Monarchs underway. Nitmo, born in Sweden, grew up in the States and played briefly for the New York Giants a couple of years ago. So Nitmo gets us underway. Good high kick, which Ford takes at his own 1-yard line. Looks for blockers and doesn't get anywhere at all before he's nailed. So the Monarchs will start off in pretty lousy field position.
And I think it's important for Montreal to play well in these last 2 games because they don't want to lose the crowd with the World Bowl coming up in Montreal.
There is the Monarchs offensive line, Ron Shipley there at centre. We talked about him already. The guards, Berardelli and Jones, they've been pretty solid all season, but the problems have been more at the tackles. Stan Gelbar gets the start with Garrett and Alexander in the backfield, Sargent and Ford out wide, and Ted Popson is the starting tight end. 1st and 10, London at the 17. Gelbar dropping back, rolling to his right, and immediately picks up Sean Foster, who didn't play last week with an injury, but immediately coming up with a 5-yard completion there.
And this has been the pattern for London as they've come out. They've started off with that short pass game because that's what you're given, but they haven't been able to take it regularly.
Emmanuel King, the right defensive end, the star of Montreal's front 7. He played for the Cincinnati Bengals for many years. Reggie McKenzie there, you may remember him from the Raiders. And at the back, the secondary, Thomas and Lott at the corners. Jones and Holmes are at the safety positions. 2nd and 5. Play action from Gelbar, and it's a completion, and past first down yardage goes Judd Garrett out to around the 40-yard line before going out of bounds.
And this is the kind of offense we've been looking for from the London Monarchs all season long. Is just be content to take that short stuff that they almost have to give you because of that no bump rule in the World League. We keep talking about it, but it is the single distinguishing factor about the offensive game in this league.
15 yards on the pickup from Gelbar to Judd Garrett. Garrett's 47th catch this year brings up another 1st down. Ford in motion. The give is to Jeff Alexander, who turns the corner and doesn't get too far before Adam Bobb, the linebacker, trips him up. 4 yards on the carry for Alexander.
And a good gain for Alexander. And you see, he comes around. He's got that momentum as he comes around. And when he runs wide, he's actually more effective. You see Smith leading him around the hole, and you see his head's up. Now he puts it down, which is always his first instinct, and that's where, if he gets past that first tackler, he doesn't really have the ability to break it because that head is down. His tendency is to go down to the turf.
As those numbers would confirm. 2nd down and around 6. Gelbar, little swing pass out to Sean Foster, and Foster doesn't get too much there before D. Thomas comes up from the cornerback position and brings him down.
Now on the second and 6, that's a tough call because you really want to do that one on 2nd and short where you don't really need to make the 1st down. Now they're in a 3rd and short and the pressure's going to be on, and this is the kind of situation where London's had problems all season.
3rd down as we look at Hank Hughes, Montreal's defensive coordinator. His team facing a 3rd down and 4.
Looks like it's a pretty warm day under the roof at Olympic Stadium.
Ignore the stat that said, the graphic there that said 3rd and 1. This is 4 yards needed. Gelbar dropping back, pressure coming. Gelbar opens up the middle and picks up his favourite receiver again, Judd Garrett, and it's another big first down. Stan has come out fired up.
And nice to see Garrett running the slightly deeper slant, and you see how Gelbar made that play by standing in the pocket. Even though the rush was on, Gelbar threw that ball with the man on him. Here we'll see it. He stands in the pocket, he stands in front of the rush, and you see how he leads Garrett on that deep cross. Garrett's got the good hands.
Quentin Jones, the strong safety, made the tackle, but Judd Garrett is as brave as they come, and he'll catch anything thrown anywhere near him. And paying the price there was Gelbar. Blitz coming, Gelbar in trouble and going down. Darrell Davis along with Ray Savage.
And Gelbar never saw that coming. There was no audible to try to play off it, and there was nothing he could do, dropping back. And again on first down, throwing that drop back pass, not even looking for the quick pattern. They get out of that rhythm, and now we'll see if they can rise to the occasion. His blocking back actually falls down, and the first guy might have been blocked, but that wouldn't have helped because the machine were throwing 3 men right in at him.
There's Darrell Davis, the outside linebacker, an NFL enhancement player from the Buffalo Bills, enhancing his chances there. Second on a bunch. Gelbar again, pressure, and intended once again for Judd Garrett, but Reggie McKenzie, the inside linebacker, was there.
And there was a lot of pressure on Gelbar again. His linemen were having a tough time holding Montreal off on that.
That's going to bring up third on a lot from around the 40-yard line of the machine, make it at the 41.
And when teams know London needs to pass for long yardage, and by long I mean almost anything more than 6 or 7 yards, they've been in a lot of trouble. 3rd and 19 because of the loss on the sack.
3 wide receivers in, Tony Sargent in the slot.
And they show blitz, but the blitz doesn't come.
Now it comes, and Gelbar is hurried again, and he gets it off to Jeff Alexander. And Alexander is pushed out of bounds by D. Thomas, who celebrates because that's short of first down yardage.
And you see the problem, even with your five men blocking and only a 4-man rush, and Savage was the 4th man rushing there. He's so quick that he gets in through the offensive line, and Gelbar has to go for the short pass.
Paul Aylesbury has come on to handle punting duties for the London Monarchs. Those are his numbers. As you can see, 13 inside the 20. That's the 2nd best in the World League, and he had a very big game against Orlando last week. Back Jones is back. James Lott is back deep. Pete Mandley normally returns punts, and he leads the league in punt returns. So probably the Monarchs are glad that he's not there.
And the Monarchs will take the time out. This is something they've done a number of times, and I'm not sure at this time whether they wanted to get Aylesbury the extra 5 yards to make it easier for him to keep the ball in play and not kick it into the end zone, or if it was because they only had 10 men on the field.
Which is something we've seen before, of course. We've had 12 men on the field, we've had 10 men on the field. They really have struggled.
Mental errors have hurt them all season long.
So Aylesbury getting ready.
Montreal coming up the middle very hard.
Aylesbury gets off a high kick. James Lott signaling a fair catch with Monarchs players all over him, and it's down at around the 16-yard line. So another good punt from Aylesbury, but the London Monarchs come up empty on their first possession. You're watching World League American Football Live. Just give you an indication of how important that sack was from William Kirksey, because it pushed Bjorn Nitmo out to a 45-yard field goal attempt, and as you can see, he just missed it. So Kirksey really saving 3 there.
That's right, and it's going to be very important to London, whose offense just hasn't been working this season, to keep that score down. Appy State, Bjorn Nitmo. I suppose Appalachia was the only place you could find mountains that were like Norway.
Make him feel like home. There is Nitmo. He's from Sweden. He was an All-World League 2nd teamer last year. Anthony Dilweg there on the sidelines. The handoff up the middle. There goes Jeff Alexander on first down. Tripped up eventually by Darrell Davis.
And one thing nobody's ever questioned on Jeff Alexander is his second effort. He's got a lot of heart. And when he can keep his feet, he can get good yardage because he doesn't give up. There you see a good hole, good block in the middle by Shipley, doing the job with his left hand, pushing out just on the edge of holding nowadays. 8
yards up the middle for Alexander. 2nd down, and Alexander gets the carry again Turns the corner, first down yardage and out of bounds.
And much better getting on that corner because he used the shoulder instead of the head. By only dropping the shoulder, it let him keep his eyes on where he's going. He kept his feet, he got the extra couple of yards.
Quentin Jones, the man that pushed Jeff Alexander out, but not until Alexander had moved it up to the 44-yard line. So the Monarchs will take over, or rather continue, on their second possession. The first one came up empty.
So one of the things we're talking about, you see Garrett lined up in the slot, 4 receivers. It means Alexander's your only running threat.
And everybody knows it. Gelbar with time puts one upstairs. That one's up for grabs. Sean Foster, the intended receiver, but pretty good coverage there from James Lott. And
Darrell Holmes, he was basically double covered in the zone down there. And Gelbar smart enough to simply throw it away.
Well, we thought we'd seen the last of Stan. For the Orlando game last week, Fred McNair came in and took a bit of a pounding and is a little bit shaken up. He is dressed and will play if needed. But instead, it's Stan that comes back. There you see the tail of the tape on Stan. Played for Phoenix last year, was with the Buffalo Bills, and now is with the Seattle Seahawks, hoping to hook up with the Seahawks next NFL season. Sargent in motion up the middle. Big lot of running room there for Jeff Alexander. That's another first down.
And that was a nice trap play where they showed running to the left and then cut back to the right just as the trap back block came in, and Alexander used it perfectly.
Let's go right here. Let's go.
Just make sure that backside linebacker
22
doesn't
cut.
Just tuning in there to Ray Wilsey. What a tough season it's been for him. And there's George Warhop with the headset on, the offensive coordinator. His first year as offensive coordinator. He's taken a bit of heat.
It really seems that they haven't gelled in the offense.
Alexander once again, if it works, why not keep doing it? Another first down, 3 big runs up the middle for Jeff Alexander, 2 of them for first downs. That one goes to the 23-yard line.
Almost the same play to the other side. Alexander going through another trap block just off the center. Shipley doing a good job on the blocking. I hope we see that on replay. Here you'll see it. There's Shipley knocking the middle guard over, and then you saw Baradelli coming over and taking care of the linebacker, which opens up a huge hole for Alexander.
Alexander drawing a crowd, not quite so much success this time.
Nice time for a play action on that play. Send Alexander to the middle, but come up with the ball. George Warhop.
Give me a route, Bill.
Okay, George Warhop's asking for the guy upstairs to tell him what pass route he thinks will work. 18 stretch.
The Bill in question is Bill Schmitz, the quarterbacks and receivers coach, who is watching this game from upstairs and who can see a lot more than you can on the sideline. Alexander looking to turn the corner, getting close to first down yardage. That'll bring up a 3rd down and 2. Jeff Alexander is getting a lot of work out there.
Yeah, and that just doesn't look like an 18 stretch to me. So maybe they're setting that up for the 3rd play. Now, we were saying what we don't seem to have seen is gelling between Wilsey, Warhop, and Gelbar.
Timeout on the field. It's the end of the first quarter. No score between the Monarchs and the Machine. You're watching World League Football, yard line. The London Monarchs looking to go on top here against the Montreal Machine. Nick Halling along with Mike Carlson. Welcome you to the Olympic Stadium in Montreal for live World League Football here on Screen Sports. And this, another impressive drive from the Monarchs, but their opening drive was impressive until they got down to the red zone, and then it all fell apart.
That's right. The offensive line really doing a job on Poutier, Royal, and King, the defensive line of Montreal. Just blowing them off the line of scrimmage, and that leaves them open to pick off the linebackers.
A very big 3rd down coming up for the Monarchs. Pressure coming. Gelbar gets rid of it. He's got a man. Bernard Ford is in for a touchdown.
And Ford makes it look easy, and you saw, we had a perfect angle for that when you saw how open Ford was on the short pattern underneath. He had one-man coverage, and Gelbar read that instantly, put it out to Ford, and when Ford's one-on-one with somebody, he's always got a chance to break it.
16 yards on the touchdown from Bernard Ford. You'd have thought Ray Wilsey's just had a touchdown scored against him.
He looks happy.
So it's the Monarchs who break out on top with a touchdown on their second possession. That's the man that put it there, Stan Gelbar, who wasn't expected to be in the starting lineup, but Fred McNair's injury has put pay to that. Phil Alexander with the extra point, and that one is good. So it's the Monarchs on top by 7. So, from their own 24-yard line, the Montreal machine looking to reply to the Gelbart to forward strike. Pressure coming from Lockett, but Proctor gets it away and paying a heavy price there. I think Aaron Emanuel is the guy that's going to come up with that one. No, it's Charlie Young again.
Yep. And that was a very strange play because they didn't seem to block anybody on that play. It was simply get the ball over to Charlie Young and see what he could do. And Carnell Smith was all alone coming in on the... Danny Lockett, sorry, was all alone coming in on the rush. Almost got to Proctor. See, now Montreal was running the ball as well, and I don't know why all of a sudden they come out 1st and 10 in the shotgun. It's not like they're down desperately by 20 points, 30 points. It's only 1 touchdown.
No gain on the pass to Young, 2nd and 10, and Proctor going up the middle, and that one is complete, and it's Andre Brown, the former Miami Dolphin, with it at around the 37. Good for 1st down yardage.
And it looked like that pass was deflected at the line of scrimmage and still got through.
He's another one of those guys who looked as if he had a career developing, but something went wrong. Played for the Dolphins for 2 years, 1989 and 1990, then injuries really just took him out of the picture. 1st down machine, motion coming from Charlie Young, switching sides once again, and pressure coming from the outside, flag, and the pressure was coming from Harvey Wilson. They may have called him offside.
And it looks like what Proctor's doing is not actually reading the blitz, he's simply watching where Kirksey lines up, and when Kirksey lines up on the line of scrimmage, he's moving Charlie Young over to get him. And you're right, it's an offside against London.
Harvey Wilson was coming with the ears pinned back, and he just misjudged it.
Number 42, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's the kind of bad break that London's had all season, but again, you make those kind of breaks yourself, and it's the discipline not to come before the snap that really hurts you.
There's some more numbers. Montreal can't do anything when they've got the ball. London don't do a lot trying to stop it.
Good explanation of why they've only got 3 wins between them. Now they're back to the... No, they're staying in the shotgun, 1st and 5.
We haven't seen too much of Mike Proctor's famed mobility yet. Danny Lockett and Steve Corfuzzi are showing blitz. Lockett coming and almost complete to Pete Manley. Very good coverage there from Roland Smith.
And Smith hit him just as he made the cut, and that was almost a lookout pattern because Proctor was getting rid of the ball, and it's look out, Pete, because there's a man coming in at your back.
But Pete Manley is a guy you've got to really watch closely, as we see Lockett coming and putting a bit of pressure on, and that too is important. And
you see again, that's designed. Proctor's not running because he knows the play's designed for him to get the ball off quickly, and Lockett's not going to get to him, but you're really running a risk there. Looks like Kirksey's coming here.
And again, pressure, Lockett at the outside. This time the pass is complete. Harvey Wilson makes the tackle, but not until Pete Manley had come up with another useful completion for the machine.
So what it looks like there's Danny Lockett coming again, and it looks like what London are doing is sending Lockett because Montreal appear to have adjusted to Kirksey, and they're moving it back to block Kirksey, which leaves Lockett unblocked, so they're going to send Lockett each time until someone comes over to get him.
It is a 1st and 10, and we see Danny's numbers. 5 sacks. He wanted 20 before the season started. He really is going to have to shift a little bit to get anywhere near it. Good protection once again, but Proctor cannot find Andre Brown, the intended receiver. Roland Smith had coverage, but Proctor had a lot of time on that one.
He's got a big line in front of him, including, you see number 77 there, Matt McCall. Now, they list McCall at 314, but he came into camp this year at 342, which made him the 2nd heaviest player in the league. That illegal procedure against Montreal, which I think was what we were talking about with DeRocher setting up in his pass blocking before the ball was actually snapped. But now McCall came in at 24 stone, 8 pounds, which is a big bit of beef. And he's down now, they say, to 315, but looking at him there, I don't really believe it.
It's 315 with a generous pair of scales. 1st down and 15 for the machine. On their own 47-yard line. Out of the shotgun. Proctor, pressure coming up the middle. Proctor just gets it away and just failing to get Pete Manley. If Pete had got a couple of yards further, that had 6 written all over it. And Pete complaining.
Manley was one-on-one. He's complaining because he was bumped, but it was the bump that let him get free, because the bump The bump didn't actually put him off, and he was open. And you see Curtis Moore, yeah, right up the middle. We don't see the bump there. But Smith tried to give him one and missed, basically. And
Curtis Moore gave Proctor one.
He didn't miss.
Well, any more of that, and we may be seeing Craig Cupp, the Montreal backup quarterback, because Mike Proctor took a lick and a half there from Curtis Moore. 2nd and 15. Shotgun again. And pressure. Lockett dragging him down from behind. This is what the Monarchs have failed to do defensively all season long.
And it looked like he had Charlie Young on a little swing there to the other side. Again, Lockett coming from the left. This time he's picked up by the tackle, but he just plays off him, and when Proctor starts running, he takes him. Proctor, you saw at the top of your screen Charlie Young's feet going through. There was nobody on him, and he was up there for the little dump.
You see Danny Lockett. I think that should go down as a sack, because I think, by my reckoning, that's going to bring up a 3rd down and around 12 yards to go for the machine. But this pressure on the quarterback is something that's been...
Number 79 on the offense.
Jeff Novak.
Jeff Novak feeling the pressure. That's going to push it back and make it 3rd and a whole bunch for the Montreal machine. And this pressure on the quarterback, as I was saying, Mike, is something that's been absent from the Monarchs defensively all season long.
That's right, and it really has to come in this kind of 3-man set from your nose tackle and your outside linebackers. They miss Roy Hart, obviously, although Miller's done a good job this season, but he just doesn't put the pressure on that Roy Hart did.
Pressure coming, but a big completion and another big 1st down. That goes to Charlie Young. He'll enjoy that one. And how many times have we seen that? The London Monarchs with a team with 3rd and a bunch giving up a big play.
That's right. And how many times this season do we see Charlie Young catch the ball downfield for the Monarchs? I don't know whether I don't even think we saw him downfield. But he's on a linebacker, and Moore just can't really keep up with him.
So the ball inside London's 30. 1st down, shotgun. Little shovel pass once again to Charlie Young. Charlie is getting an extended workout here and will be close to 1st down yardage again. A pickup of around 8 for the former Monarch. He never played like this when he was in Monarchs colours.
He was never playing against the Monarchs. That's one of the things you could say. But
60 smash. Scatter right, 60 smash.
I was going to suggest 20.
Scatter right, 60 smash. And rubbing your 2 palms together, which I'm not sure what that means. But
well, we'll find out. 60 smash would suggest some fairly heavy grinded up the middle play, but you never know. 2nd down and 2 coming.
You see the spread right, which is the formation they call.
Out of the shotgun, pressure coming, and the pressure was on, and so Darrell Harris really had no chance of making that completion. Irvin Smith had the coverage, but the pressure is what broke that play up.
So 60 smash is a short pass pattern. Looked like what they do is they have their wide men simply go down for and turn and then get the ball.
This guy Darrell Harris, he can do a lot. 2nd year with the machine. Now we see Curtis Moore. Had the pleasure of working with him in the booth when he was injured, and he said there's no way he'd swap positions with you, Mike, which I think you're probably quite relieved about.
I'm used to going head-on-head with you.
Well, that's a tough assignment.
Yeah, now it doesn't look like it'll be close for the 1st down.
Depends where they spot it. Darrell Harris just saw out wide. He is also their short yardage carrier. That should bring up a 4th down and 1 from that spot.
Yeah, he didn't get much of a spot.
Get it. Go get it. There we go.
Well, even I can understand that one. Go get it.
Yeah, I guess that means don't go get the field goal. See, it's probably they don't have all that much faith in Mitmo's foot, having missed one already today.
From a yard out, though, Darrell Harris, you'd have to fancy as a pretty good bet. Motion coming from Bartlewski, the H-back, and I wonder if they've got that. It was Proctor on the keeper, and the London Monarchs had it covered all the way.
Not the call I'd make, and you don't have your running back.
I know, but we had to go further than that. We didn't get it.
Nope.
There you hear the coaching staff of the Montreal machine. They confirmed it. They didn't get it.
Shit. God damn it.
I guess he doesn't like that.
We have no control over what goes out on these coaches' microphones, I'm afraid.
Could have said it in French. Pardon our Quebecois. But here you see, he fumbles the snap, which is the first thing that goes wrong. He stands up, which is the second. You don't want to stand up on a sneak. You want to dive through. His back goes on his back, which means he can't go forward, which is the third thing that goes wrong. But why not take the 32-yard field goal?
So Jim Washburn's defense holds firm there.
At one point, he may have looked at it.
It's been a tough season for all these Monarchs coaches, but they could still finish on a high. Montreal here, Frankfurt next week, and the Galaxy really are a team in horrible disarray. So a couple of wins perhaps to finish the season with would do them no harm at all.
It was very hard to judge at the beginning of the season how strong these European teams were as they played each other in those formative weeks in the World League, where those first 3 weeks or so are so important, trying to get your team to gel and trying to get the new players in. But obviously in Europe, the teams have held pat. They've stayed as good as they were last year, but the rest of the league has caught up.
In leaps and bounds in the case of Orlando and all three teams in North America West. That's a hot division. So there's the Monarchs defensive boys. They've done their work, and over on the other sideline, Jacques Dussault,
whose command of English cursing is every bit as good as Frank.
Actually, in Jacques' defense, I think that was the coach upstairs, the offensive coordinator. I think there is Joe Clark upstairs.
Yeah.
I think he may have been
It was a
responsible.
sort of... Joe's just shot himself. He's not available to speak.
Hey, Mark. Mark.
Yeah.
What's happening now, he's calling out the other guy as, you know, like the guy in the middle there, he's calling him Dan.
I know it.
The guy that's killing us is 94, because that's Deb, and we're not blocking him.
The guy that's killing us is
If he
94.
calls
That's
the
Danny
middle
Lockett.
guy Dan, the left tackle's got to block him.
Because they were expecting, you know, a Dan over to the right.
tell you.
Yeah, well,
I tell you, leave those microphones open. You'll get an education here, folks.
The Montreal coaching staff give you a guide to coaching in words of 4 letters or less.
Right, the Mark they're talking about is Mark McHale, who's the offensive line coach for Montreal.
Reggie McKenzie on the tackle there, the former LA Raiders linebacker. He has a twin brother plays on the Washington Redskins. It's 2 yards on the pickup there for Jeff Alexander. Reggie McKenzie read that one well. That'll bring up a 2nd down and 8 for the Monarchs, leading by 7 here in the second quarter. Gelbar dropping back, buys some time, but the intended receiver was Tony Sargent, and that was never going to work.
And he got a good block from Jeff Alexander there, which gave him the time. I think what happened actually was he thought that the pressure was on, and then Alexander took care of that blitzing linebacker, and so he had more time to throw than he thought, but he rushed the pass anyway.
So that'll bring up a 3rd and long for the Monarchs. Expletives aside, it is fascinating to tune into these Montreal coaches and just discover who's hurting them. And we're getting confirmation it's Danny Lockett that's doing some damage out there. Gelbar dropping back, good protection this time, and he's got himself an open man. Bernard Ford is taken down, but not until he'd got a 1st down. Chris McCall was the first man there.
And with that much time, he was going to connect. Baradelli doing a tremendous job wrestling down in the inner line. And here you see the pattern, just to fly. You send one guy deep, and then Ford cuts underneath that, and he beats McCall on the cut. So he's wide open, and you see how much time they needed, because that was a 14, 15-yard deep pattern.
Jeff Alexander with the carry, seeing Bernard Ford there. That is a guy that has really grown as the season has progressed. He had a huge game last week against Orlando, 6 for 96. 2 yards on the carry there for Jeff Alexander on 1st down. They seem perhaps to have got Alexander's number, certainly in this drive.
And that run just wasn't there right from the start. And Alexander knew it as he was trying to get around the corner. But what you've got to watch here is the line. Is not necessarily Alvin Powell, but Montreal's coming here.
Blitz on
Gelbar's
2nd
just
down.
audible.
Gelbar under pressure, gets the pass off, and is a completion to Tony Sargent, wrestling, trying to get it out of his hands is the safety Quentin Jones, but Sargent's got a piece of that and he's not letting go.
And a real nice catch by Sargent, because Gelbar had to finesse the ball in. He was just barely open, so he couldn't put any juice on it.
So that'll bring up a 1st down at Montreal's 34. And if there's one man you're going to pass to in that situation, it's going to be Tony Sargent,
Yeah,
the possession receiver.
They may have been talking about Alvin Powell's encounter with Montreal Canadiens' Shane Corson in Boston this week.
We'll give you more on that up the middle, and just being pulled back goes Jeff Alexander once again, but this time there was a tackle coming in.
Which apparently,
there is Alvin.
Apparently it's in all the Montreal paper. There we are. There's the Montreal paper. Corson bloodied. Alvin Powell has already played with Seattle and Miami. That's not much of a headline there. There's Shane Corson, who's got a reputation for tossing the fists around on the ice, and he was actually got into a fight in a bar in Montreal this season and was suspended for a game by the Canadiens.
Well, Shane Corson, no stranger to punch-ups in a bar, but Alvin Powell may not wear skates, but I wouldn't want to go one-on-one with the guy. Jeff Alexander barreling close to first down yardage. And the latest on that story that we hear is Shane Corson's thinking of suing Alvin Powell.
Well, Shane Corson probably goes about 6 foot tall and maybe 190, 95 pounds, and Alvin's slightly larger than that. But you never know what will happen under the influence. Not a good role model for our youth. Good Montreal.
Good numbers there for Jeff Alexander. 69 yards on 10 carries. He's close to his best day of the season if this carries on. Third down and around, 3 to go for the Monarchs. Gelbar with time, little flare pass, and the coverage there on Ford, and that could draw a flag. Chris McCall just flung Bernard Ford into an advertisement hoarding.
Right, and that's a shame because he did a great job of coverage there. He read where the pass was coming and caught up. Got to Bernard Ford, didn't need to throw him into the... Here you'll see. See, he's dropping back. Ford beats him on the cut, but he recovers the ground, comes in, makes the hit. The first hit is good. That's what you have to do. Then you don't have to ride him into the boards.
Well, Phil Alexander will come out. 52-yarder he made against New York. He's going to have to get close to that. It's looking straight and true and down the middle, and Phil Alexander with a 44-yard field goal increases the Monarchs' lead. It's 10-0 here, second quarter at the Olympic Stadium, Montreal. We're at the 2-minute warning in the first half here at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The Monarchs leading the machine 10-0 and in possession, looking to build on that lead before half-time, and it's not been impressive stuff from the machine so far. The Monarchs, in contrast, are playing like the Monarchs of last year.
Yeah, and Charlie Young is playing like the Monarchs of last year for the machine. He's been the bright spot for them, and I really do think it's horses for courses. He's gone into an offense that really suits his skills, and it was something that London wasn't able to do.
But I'm surprised, as you've said already, Mike, how little Pete Mandley is getting to do in this game so far. That guy's a one-man game breaker. Third down and 7 coming up on their own 46 for the Monarchs. Spread formation. Pressure coming, but Gelbar has time and has an open man. Sean Foster will have a first down at the 39-yard line. James Lott on the tackle.
And just on the tackle, because Foster was squirming away, and if he gets away there, he's gone.
So another big third down conversion for the Monarchs. With all the pressure gone, Stan Gelbar seems as relaxed as we've seen him for many a week.
Yeah, and they came out working the possession game, and now they're working the kind of game they tried most of the season. Gelbar throwing longer.
Spread formation again, and that's a touchdown, and it's Bernard Ford, 39 yards, Gelbar to Ford. That looked very easy indeed.
I was just going to say, they're throwing longer and opening up the defense, which means that they can go for the bomb sooner or later, and there it was. Well, it's really been since the first week of the season we've got to see
some of the offensive linemen joining in the celebration zone. Set a few earth tremors off. Bernard Ford with his second touchdown of the day.
And here you
just
see
beat the coverage of Chris McCall.
See, they're in the zone, and it looks like Quinton Jones goes short when he should have gone long in the zone. I think he probably had the deep responsibility, and because there's nobody in that safety spot, he's one-on-one, and then it's easy. It's an easy touchdown.
Phil Alexander adds the extra point. So, 1:40 left in the first half. The London Monarchs are in complete control here in the Olympic Stadium, leading the machine 17-0. 2 touchdowns from the man who didn't think he was going to see any action today, Stan Gelbar. But he's just letting people know, hey, I can play a bit.
I think that's it, and maybe he's come out and said, look, we're going to play my game this time, because we've been speculating all season on where the breakdown in the offense has occurred, if it's Ray Wilsey, if it's George Warhop or Gelbo, but it never looked like the three of them were gelling. It always seemed like they all wanted to do different things. And this week it looks like everything's working. They're running on all cylinders. And of course, maybe it's because Montreal's defense is so bad, it's making them look good. But plays like that, you take advantage of the other team's mistakes, whether they're a great team or not such a good team, you have to be good to take advantage of those mistakes.
Well, it was a horrible week last week for the London Monarchs in Orlando. It's the home of Disneyland, but there are many who are saying it was a bit of a Mickey Mouse performance, as we see the two coaches. Ray Wilsey on the left. He should be happy. He doesn't look it.
I don't think Ray ever looks happy.
Ray never looks happy, does he? No, it's
except
one of the old school of coaches. Bernard Ford there. Had a big game last week against Orlando. He's having another big one here. 2 touchdowns already.
And of course in World League, don't forget, you always play to win. But in World League, you're playing for a job as well. In the NFL and then next season in the World League. So there's no motivation to lay up.
Got Pete Manley back deep to return kicks. Manley isn't going to pick that one. It's once again, it's Anthony Newsom.
And Manley makes the tackle.
Victor, once again, the man who made the stop on the 15-yard line. Victor may not be carrying the ball too much, but he is making his presence felt on the special teams. Wow.
And watch the replay on this. See, Victor takes the credit there, but it's Manley who made the tackle. Manley went down. I'm not sure if he dropped a contact lens or if he thought he was going to block Victor. But
he just sort of saw Victor coming and decided to...
He just sort of put his head down and bridged the kick returner.
Don't ever say to these London Monarchs that the Brits don't pull their weight on this team. They do. So it's been spotted at the 16, a minute and a half, just a bit over left for the machine. Spread formation out of the shotgun. Mike Proctor calls timeout.
He doesn't like what he sees. And, you know, how much could the Monarchs have used Victor in those early weeks when you really needed a lift? And if it's only once a game on the kickoff coverage that someone's going to come down and nail the other team inside the 20, it does give your team a real boost.
Here's the touchdown once again to Ford.
And Gelball, when he's got the open receiver deep, can hit him every time. But apart from at Orlando, Scott Mitchell, I think, who now has the best deep arm in the World League, Gelball is still the second best deep arm.
There's Stan, taking a time out of his own on the sidelines. Just over a minute and a half left, and just sitting next to him is Mike Rhodes there, number 12, the third-string quarterback that was added last week.
Mike, I've traveled lots of roads in my career, and if he gets a chance to play, I'll be very surprised.
There's Alvin Powell, the man who had the altercation in the bar in Boston with Boston Bruins. Shane Corson is now getting sued. Does he look like a man you'd sue?
Shane Corson from the Montreal Canadiens. That's why it's got so much play in Montreal.
But it was in Boston.
Right, because the Bruins had just eliminated Montreal in 4 straight games in the NHL playoffs, which is probably the worst thing that's happened to Montreal since...
London Monarchs led 17-0. And almost an interception. Ken Soleil couldn't handle it. And then does a touch of the Gary Linekers. But Ken, who just came back from injured reserve, almost announced his arrival back in a lot of style. Nice player, Ken Soleil. Good to see him back at full speed.
Took a good drop in the deep zone there.
And there is a flag. And it's gone against London, so the interception wouldn't have counted anyway.
It's going to be bumping one of the receivers off the line of scrimmage. I was going to say it's the worst thing that's happened to Montreal since the roof of the Olympic Stadium fell in
Illegal
last
use
year.
of hands, number 94 on the defense.
Danny Lockett
5-yard penalty.
getting an illegal use of hands call. 5 yards on the penalty, but it's good to see Danny Lockett fired up, playing with intensity in this game.
That's right. It's something that the intensity seems to have been misplaced for much there. And you see great coverage by Soleil in his drop the whole way with Charlie Young and keeping his eye on the ball, which is what you saw Curtis Moore didn't do when he was in that same position earlier on.
I just thought he was going to boot the ball away again. I was impressed with that. So first down out of the shotgun. The clock continuing to run. Proctor goes to the sidelines, picks up Darrell Harris. Coverage from Irvin Smith, but a nice reception there from Harris.
Good coverage, good throw, good catch. Tough to stop when you execute like that, even if your coverage is good, and that wasn't bad coverage by Irvin Smith, but there's nothing much you can do about it.
8 yards on the pickup from Proctor to Harris will bring up a second down and 2. The machine looking to get something going here late in the first half.
You see Smith's there, and his reach just misses. And he knows he can gamble because you're heading out of bounds. He doesn't have to worry about missing the tackle.
Shotgun again. And again, another completion. That'll bring up a first down. Again, it's that battle of the number 21s, and it's Montreal's Darryl Harris that gets the better of Irvin Smith again. First down to the machine. The short passing game has worked for just about everybody against the London Monarchs, and the clock now back in action. The Montreal machine with a long way to go here. They're at their own 35. Blitz coming. Lockett coming from the outside.
And Lockett got a great jump.
Proctor's dropped the ball, and it's big Dave DeRoche who didn't get a hold of it. Dave probably wondered what the football was, and it's Steve Corfuzzi that makes the recovery. Offensive linemen never get to see that the ball is.
I think it was Matus, but he's looking at the thing saying, do I fall on it or do I kill it first and then fall on it?
Steve Corfuzzi knew exactly what it was. Disaster for Jacques Dussault.
I was just about to say that teams sometimes, when they're not playing well, play better in the hurry-up offense because it makes them do what they need to do. But Lockett got such a good jump, and you see Matus never even touches him because the jump is so good. Now the ball rolls away, and I mean, there's a replay we should have. Jacques Dussault does not look happy as well, you might imagine.
What a first half this man has had. Danny Lockett showing the potential that made him try MVP last year. He's not really fulfilled that so far this year, but he's making the machine pay. Inside a minute, first half. Gelbar looking, fires, Bernard Ford, touchdown. Very, very easy for Stan.
And they got Ford in man-to-man coverage again, and Gelbar knew it, and you saw he just stood there and waited for Ford to make the break. Ford was open. Third touchdown today. You see it right there on the graphic.
And they're getting Bernard Ford locked up one-on-one with Chris McCall, and it's paying a huge dividend for them.
Gelbar, lots of time to throw and wait for him to come open. And one-on-one, given that much time, Ford's almost always going to get open.
And Stan allows himself a smile, as well he might. He's taken a lot of stick this year, but this is making a little bit more worthwhile. Inside a minute to go, first half. Phil Alexander adds the extra point. 24-0. The Monarchs in control here at the Olympic Stadium.
If the Monarchs are playing like the Monarchs of last year, Montreal's playing like the Monarchs of last week. Making all those kind of mental errors that you shouldn't make, especially deep in your own territory, looking like a team that's going to find a way to lose. London looking very good.
Well, they've broken it open inside a minute here, have the London Monarchs, and it's Bernard Ford and Stan Gelbar that have done it. 2 touchdowns inside around 48 seconds, something like that, and the fumble caused by Danny Lockett. That's really put the game away as far as the Monarchs are concerned. They were leading by 10, now it's 24-0.
And even at 17, you thought Montreal could get back in the game pretty quickly, but all of a sudden Proctor doesn't seem to know what he's doing. He makes not a really good play because Lockett's on him, but there's no reason for him to drop the ball. He's just can cover up on it. 24-0, that's a long way to come back.
Danny Lockett there conversing with Jim Washburn, the defensive coordinator.
Jim doesn't look happy either.
Jim's had a tough season as well. But it always does a franchise a lot of good to finish on a high. And there we see the big play, the one that really has broken the game open. Roman Matus will be looking back at that one and wondering how he didn't pick it up. Little squib kick. And here on the return is Darryl Harris. He looks dangerous, Harris, getting out over the 30-yard line before Ken Soleil brings him down. Harris, along with Charlie Young, have both had pretty solid first half of the machine, but nobody else has.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder why they went to the shotgun and dropped that running game, because it looked like they could move the ball up the field. There's Victor again.
He wants a piece of this one. He wants a piece of all these special teams, but this time they've got a hold of him. Sean Russell.
Yeah, and Russell's been on. Russell's a hold of him. And look at, there's an official right there. I mean, you know, guys, but Russell's had him on each play. Russell's obviously the guy who's supposed to cut down the first man in, and he's looking for Victor.
You daren't say it, there. A Bubadike. It's easy. 47 seconds left, first half. Proctor. Pressure coming from the outside, but Proctor showing his scrambling ability and picking up around 35 yards. Very sloppy defensively there for the Monarchs. There's still 37 seconds left first half. Montreal will will now be thinking field goal, because that's moved the ball to London's 37.
And you see Proctor used his head there because he got the extra 10-15 yards running downfield, knowing the clock would stop for the first down. But you saw him hustling his linemen up because the clock does start once the linemen are up to the ball.
Out of the shotgun again, first down. Proctor.
Now you want to stop the clock if you don't have anyone open. Get rid of the ball.
And it's Danny Lockett again bringing him down from behind, and Proctor certainly held on for that one far too long. Danny's enjoying himself out there.
Yeah, his quickness is just too much for Matus. They weren't blocking him early on. They were leaving him alone. They were looking for Kirksey on the other side with the keeping the back in, and really they should be thinking about keeping the back in to take care of Lockett right now.
Montreal have called a timeout. Down by 24 with the last few seconds of the first half left. It really has been a pretty miserable first half for the machine. They missed a field goal, they lost the ball, and they failed to convert a fourth down. They had to punt, and then they fumbled the ball. And
that's the kind of stuff that where Danny Lockett's enthusiasm is misplaced and gets him a little boot in the butt right there. Dave DeRoche appreciating the little tap in the heli. That can hurt. We saw what Danny did. Depending on how hard you raise your helmet up there, and if you catch a chin, it can hurt you. But you can get penalized for that, even if it's in good humor. The referee doesn't necessarily know that. No.
We've heard a lot of people complaining about Danny Lockett. Mouse Davis, the New York coach, referred to him scratching and biting and kicking. I haven't seen him biting yet.
No, I don't know if he'd want to fight one of these guys.
Shotgun, second down. Proctor firing. He's got a man. He bounces and takes a very, very fortunate bounce off a helmet straight into the arms of Sean Russell. Sean Russell, who played in the Italian Football League, is fluent in English, Italian, and Spanish, has given the machine a first down with 14 seconds left, first and goal. And when you need a break, you get one. If you're Montreal, big break here.
That should hit a defender, and it doesn't. If you're actually, I thought the ball's not supposed to go from offensive player to offensive player without hitting a defender, but there you see Proctor just stopping the clock so they can run one more play.
Absolutely essential for the machine to get 6 here.
Oh yeah, they really want it. And that one's going to be on our top 5. No, it won't be on our top 5 touchdowns because it wasn't a touchdown, but it should have been in our top 5 touchdowns.
It should be in our top 5 plays.
Right.
And there's the think tank on the sideline, Jacques Dussault. Mike Proctor waits to see what the call is.
And again, what you want to do here is the play's got to be a quick one.
Sure, if it's not there, Coach.
Okay.
If it's not there, you throw the
timeout left. Yeah.
Coaches never know what the situation is. Yeah. You think they're saying something intelligent. They're checking with each other because nobody knows how many timeouts are left. But what you want is a quick play, and if it's not there, you throw the ball away.
And now Montreal have had to use up their last timeout. You see Anthony Dilweg there on the sidelines, adding his contribution.
Too many chefs, and not enough Indians.
Andre Brown there obscuring Coach Dussault.
Okay, relax. Coach. Now we need 2 plays here, Joe.
Yeah, okay, Coach.
That's Joe Clark on the right.
Here's the first one. We don't go for a field goal. Forget that.
Yeah. Okay, it's either going to be...
hold down, yeah.
The first one is a 2-point rider, okay?
First one is 2-point rider.
Okay. And the next one is going to be a money.
Next one's going to be a money.
The thing he's got to do on the first one, he's got to haul ass to that pylon.
Haul ass to the pylon on the first one, okay?
Throw the damn ball
if it's not there, throw the ball.
Yeah.
Then come back with the money. Okay, here we go, buddy.
Well, that's what we just said. You got to get rid of the ball quickly because you want to run the second play. Now, what that is, the 2-point is a play that they've put in for the 2-point conversion, and I suspect what it's going to be is Proctor's going to roll out one way or the other, probably to his right, which is the better side for him to throw to. The second one, a money, is probably some sort of trick play.
Or a money pass, make sure it's low percentages, low risk, high percentage.
It looks like he'll roll to the right.
Proctor on second down, the rolling right, and there's running room for him here. Got the coverage coming in. Carnell Smith did a good job.
Very good.
Good containment there from the defensive end. Proctor had nowhere to go, and now there's just 1 play left.
And he did the right thing by getting rid of the ball. Lost a second after the ball went through the end zone, but by getting rid of the ball in time to run the next play. Now, the problem with that play, it looked like he didn't have receivers coming with him. He only had the one man to throw to.
Harris was wide open, Darryl. Just have to give the ball.
Yeah, but he was open, but he was behind the play. And it's hard for Proctor to run to the right and throw back, because he's a big guy. He can't really get his arm around to do that.
Proctor, the last play of the first half, a low snap, and Proctor going in and spinning round, and has he made it? Yes, he has.
And you know, he could have made it without the spin, I think, if he'd just gone in straight, but he still made it with the spin. That's a gutsy call when he played. Proctor, a lot of courage going in on his own.
So, on the last play of the first half, the fireworks go off here in Montreal, but it's been a pretty damp squib of a first half for Jacques Dussault. His team has been beaten up pretty badly, but that could give him a lift going into the locker room.
It definitely does. And now at 17, you're back in the you're much more back in the game. Another touchdown puts you're only down 10. You know, that's the way you have to think at this point. You dominate the third quarter, and it's an even game.
Now, are you thinking 2-point conversion here, or will you go for the straight kick?
At this point, you go for the kick.
Nitmo is out for the kick.
Because you've got lots of time in the second half to score points.
The kick goes through. The extra point is good. So that gives us a half-time score. Montreal Machine finish on a high, but it's been London Monarchs dominating. They lead 24-7, courtesy of 3 Stan Gelbar touchdown passes to Bernard Ford. You're watching Screen Sport. Montreal, confirmation once again of the half-time score. We're just a few seconds away from the second half. Phil Alexander getting ready to kick off. But that late touchdown for Montreal really has opened the game up a little bit, hasn't it?
It does change the complexion of the game, because London now have to work. They can't come in. I mean, anytime you go in and you think the game's over, you're in trouble. But with a 24-0 lead, you can be justified in doing that. Now they know they're back in a game, and the cameramen are back on Victor.
I tell you, somebody likes Victor up there. They are watching him closely on every kickoff.
And so watch for 35 Sean Russell on Montreal, who's going to be the designated Victor getter.
Phil Alexander gets the second half underway. The Monarchs leading 24-7. And it's another high kick that's taken at around the 3-yard line. And some razzle-dazzle stuff there. Darrell Harris with the handoff, and this is James Lott running up the sideline and getting tripped up by Victor, of course, but not until Harris had got close to midfield. So a Pyrrhic victory there for Victor.
And Harris managed just managed to get around that, because it wasn't a very tricky reverse. You see Victor now sees the reverse, avoids getting blocked, and takes a good angle. You see, you don't chase the man. What you do is you take an angle to cut him off, to cut off his run, which is exactly what he does, and he makes a good hit.
Outstanding coverage from Victor,
tremendous coverage, really tremendous.
Any pro at any level would be proud of what Victor Abubadiki achieved there.
And it didn't look like Lott was going to get to the outside. And what happens on a reverse is, usually, if you can beat that first man, who's going to be the one who stops the reverse, then if you go outside, there's lots of running room, because nobody's covering that far offside.
So Victor Abubadike with some damage control there. The Montreal Machine taking over at the 33. Charlie Young was the ball carrier there, and Scott Miller, along with Curtis Moore, brought him down.
Nice play by Miller, because Kaufusi was taking an outside route and just pushed a little bit outside, or else he would have been able to make the tackle. And Miller was over to fill that side of the line. Did a good job.
2 yards on the pickup for Charlie. Takes it to the 35-yard line. 2nd down and 8 for the Machine. Jacques Dussault on the sidelines. Proctor with a lot of time, but Miller's after him now, and Miller brings him down, and that is a 15-yard loss. Scott Miller enjoying that.
And he had enough time there to unload the ball. There's no excuse at that point for getting sacked.
Well, with the greatest respect to Scott Miller and Mike Proctor, who comes in as with a reputation as a great scrambler, didn't show a lot here, did he?
No, and really he's looking for his receivers, and he needs to unload, or he needs to take a route away from the rush, but he does neither. And this is the case now. Montreal desperately need to score on this possession just to keep in the game.
3rd down and 23. We've seen some big 3rd down conversions on both sides in this game, and it's the spread formation out of the shotgun once again, and pressure coming, and Lockett's got a hold of him.
And this time he gets rid of it. He won't get called for grounding the ball because the receiver was there. And I was watching to see if they would keep Young in to block, but Young was on the opposite side from Lockett anyway, so it wouldn't have done them much good. Young, as it happened, swung out, which is not what they were going to do anyway.
Half-time, San Antonio all over Frankfurt, that's no surprise, and Birmingham doing a number on Orlando. Now, if Birmingham win that really puts the pressure on San Antonio and Sacramento in week 10 those two will meet, and the winners will win the division. The losers may not make the playoffs.
Right. And Orlando, of course, is already qualified, so the game isn't as big for them. And Birmingham, of course, all fired up for it.
The punting unit out, and Victor was there trying to get a piece of that one. He wasn't far away. Collecting it on his own 42-yard line is Bernard Ford, who goes out of bounds after a pickup of around 6.
And I haven't actually seen San Antonio play this year.
So the Monarchs hold firm defensively. That brings out that combination once again. Stan Gelbar and Bernard Ford in midfield. They're on their own 48, and they have had a very productive first half, picking on Chris McCall on the right side of the defensive secondary of the machine.
It'd be interesting to see what happens if they change their coverage at all. But they've gotten caught a couple of times in zones with Ford isolated one-on-one and no safety to come over and help out, which has been where the touchdowns have come.
So first down for the Monarchs. They've had success running and passing in this game, and it's Jeff Alexander barreling up the middle and picking up close to 3 yards before he gets nailed by a bunch of machine defenders, amongst them Desmond Royal.
Jeff Alexander with such power when he goes up the middle there. You heard the crunch as he hit.
3 yards for Big Jeff. 69 yards on 10 carries, and most of those came on 3 draw plays right up the middle. But the machines seem to be wise to that now.
Yeah, they haven't run that same trap play. They've been doing basically straight ahead blocking, which is what we've seen in most of the games this season.
Gelbar out of the shotgun with time. Judd Garrett. Judd doing some fancy footwork, but only picking up a couple of yards. Brought down by Darrell Davis. But it was almost as if Judd had too much time in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, Judd Garrett's most effective going to get his yards when he's running on a slant kind of pattern, though he gets the ball in motion. He doesn't have that quick start speed that Ford or Sargent do.
Third down and around 4 or 5, depending on your interpretation of where the ball's been spotted, between the 46 and 47-yard line.
Now watch for Garrett swinging out of the backfield here.
Gelbar dropping back, a lot of time, but under pressure, and he's lost the ball. A disastrous play from Gelbar, and it's been recovered by Michael Finn.
Now what they were doing was setting up a screen for Garrett, who was going to swing out of the backfield, and they were trying to set up the screen pass as Gelbar dropped back. And I actually think his arm was in motion to throw the ball, but it wasn't really his throwing motion. He was bringing the ball up, and he shouldn't be carrying the ball down that low anyway on that play.
Ray Savage, the outside linebacker, with the pressure, and Michael Finn, the defensive tackle, finished it off. So Stan's first big mistake of the game, and it was a big one.
And now Montreal, had having made a mistake of their own, get back with great field position, and here's their chance to get back in the ball game.
Well, how often have we seen the Monarchs mess up good situations in this World League season? Let's hope they don't do it again. They're still ahead 24-7. Montreal with it all to do. Proctor out of the shotgun, and he's got a completion to Andre Brown. That's going to be brought down close to first down yardage.
Andre Brown's a big target. That makes him a good possession receiver. He's about 6'3" and good 210 pounds. Almost like having a second tight end there.
It is a first down for the machine. Ball spotted on the 21-yard line. Well, a Montreal touchdown here would certainly make life very interesting.
And again, I still wonder why they're running from the shotgun. You know, what's wrong with the T formation? Maybe Proctor needs the time.
The handoff to Charlie Young, and Young goes nowhere. Ken Soleil. In fact, Young has managed to beat Soleil with a very clever little gliding move, but only picks up 3 or 4 yards. Scott Miller there on the tackle.
And he did well to get past Carnell Smith on that one, because he was deep in the backfield.
There's Charlie, having a big day against the team that told him, sorry, you're not good enough.
Looked like the snap from center took Proctor by surprise.
And that one's up for grabs, and Irvin Smith, or rather Dan Crossman. Crossman has got it, and Crossman could be all the way. Just one man to beat, and he's beaten him. Dan Crossman. Whoa, what a big play.
Not a picture tackle by Proctor.
Dan Crossman came up with a lot of big plays last year, not many this year, but that one has come up with a huge one. That's around 90 yards on the return. He can't believe it, Mike Proctor, nor can Jacques Dussault.
No, and that's a case of, I mean, as I said, looked like the snap caught Proctor by surprise, and then it looked like he just tried to force the ball into coverage. It was deflected into Crossman's hands, and then Proctor, just a miserable job of playing safety there.
Yeah, Mike Proctor not doing a lot there. 87 yards is what the stats crew reckon on that one. Jacques Dussault doesn't care. That one could have finished the machine off just when it looked like they were going to get back into it, and there is an injured machine player down.
Got a damaged machine. Oh, looks like Crossman's a little winded. Jacques Dussault still looks like he's looking at the end zone to see if the touchdown counts. Rest assured it does. Let's see, can we see a replay on that, I wonder?
Great turn of speed from Dan Crossman,
Here
we go.
See, he has to reach down for the snap, and then he throws. It's actually not, he's throwing into coverage, but he throws behind Smith, which is the problem. And now watch Proctor come into this here, because Crossman's going to cut back and run right at him. Here I come. Whoops.
And that's a pretty feeble effort from Mike Proctor.
That's an Olay tackle. Get that cape out of the way.
Well, you expect the offensive lineman to be beaten for speed, but Mike Proctor must be thinking he should have tried to trip Crossman up. A huge play there for the strong safety. His second interception of the season. Mike Proctor with his first interception of this game, but what a costly one. So equilibrium restored once again for the Monarchs. Phil Alexander will try the extra point, and there's no problem at all. So the 24-point lead has been re-established. Dan Crossman gives the Monarchs a 31-7 lead in the third quarter. Phil Alexander will get us back underway, having kicked the extra point. 31-7, the Monarchs over the machine, courtesy of the 87-yard interception return from Dan Crossman. Taking it at his own one is Darrell Harris. Harris doesn't get too far this time. Ken Soleil tripped him up. Victor wasn't in on that one.
No, Mr. Abu Badiki was on the side. He does a very good job of coming down quickly and then waiting to read the play, which is what he's supposed to do. But it was off to the other side. I just said his name just to prove I could do it.
Yeah, but you've been practicing for half an hour. The ball spotted on the 23-yard line. I'll tell you, in this situation, Mike, we may well see Victor get the call.
I think it would be a good move, both for the Monarchs' long-term plans, but also to reward him for working so hard to get out of that injury.
That looked like a season ender. Occurred in the pre-season game against the Birmingham Fire out there in Orlando. Proctor with the handoff, and nothing doing on this occasion. Charlie Young. 2 yards on the carry. It was a tough 2 yards for Charlie. Second and 8.
And in the second half, when they need to come out with offense, Montreal's become one-dimensional. They're not going to be doing much running, but they could have come out in the beginning in a T formation and tried to establish a little bit of a running game. But you know Proctor's going to have to air it out at this point, so why fool around with draws?
And here is Proctor. Out of the shotgun once again, spread formation, 4 wide receivers, pressure coming from Lockett, but the screen set up, and here goes Charlie, and brought down from behind by Milford Hodge.
And Milford shows good
down.
Speed.
Hodge, who came in because of injuries to Rich McCullough, but a flag.
Face mask, number 31 on the defense, 5-yard penalty.
Well, that's Crossman.
From the end of the run.
He's done nothing in this game, that bloke, has he?
One long run, and that's it.
One long run, he thinks he owns the place.
And there it is.
Pretty clear stuff there from Crossman on Charlie Young.
He's lucky it's only a 5-yarder.
They're saying it's unintentional, but I agree with you, Mike. Dan's a bit lucky there. That's only a 5-yarder.
Once your fingers close, you know what they've closed on, and there's a big difference between a face mask and a shoulder pad or a nose or a jaw or whatever.
So the ball spotted just shy of Montreal's 40-yard line. First down, shotgun. Proctor fumbles the snap and just has to go down hanging on to it. Danny Lockett was in there along with Carnell Smith. Very fast.
That's concentration as much as anything. The snap wasn't good. It was low, but Proctor's looking to see where the rush is going to come from, but he's not going to be able to look for the low snap. See, he's looking up before the ball's in his hands to see where, basically where Danny Lockett is.
And there's Danny, coming in fast. So Mike Proctor. Now we see remaining games for the Machine and the Monarchs. London, Frankfurt. You'll see that live next Saturday at 6 here on Screen Sport. Montreal get New York, New Jersey. That's going to be tough for them. 5-yard loss brings up 2nd and 15. That ball was tipped, but the completion to Pete Mandley on a crossing pattern. First time we've called Pete's name this half, and really only the 2nd or 3rd time all game.
Right, and it's a tribute to Roland Smith, who was brought in to do the job on Mandley. But you also wonder why you don't work for him more, try to do some more things to get the ball to him, even if you do those little stutter patterns where you hit him at the line of scrimmage, because he's a runner. If you get him the ball, he can break it open.
Just 2 yards on the gain. Mandley capable of an awful lot more. Big 3rd down coming up from the Machine. Out of the shotgun again. Proctor with time, and he's got a man this time. Charlie Young comes down with
good hands. And Young, that's the 2nd catch he's made in heavy traffic.
Well, when you're making catches over the shoulder of Dedrick Dodge, then you must have pretty good hands. And Charlie Young, who was never asked to do this in London, shows that he's capable of it.
See, he looks like an end there. It really looked like a tight end going downfield. And he gets his body up to protect his hands and looks the ball right into his hands.
Charlie's numbers today, 7 for 97. I think Charlie has proved his point today.
Yep, definitely. It's been one of the bright spots for Montreal, and there haven't been that many.
Spread formation, 1st down, the ball on London's 27. The lone set back. Who gets the carry here is Charlie Young, who picks up a tough 3. Like Carnell Smith may have tripped him up.
Or Kwafuzi, I think, was back in it at that left defensive end.
Curtis Moore made the stop, but not until Charlie Young picked up another 4 yards. I'd like to see his all-purpose yardage numbers at the end of this game. Well over 100 yards now.
And I think basically he's doing what London thought he would do, but I just don't think they ever realized that they didn't have the system to help him do it.
Young again on the draw play, but that was never going to work. Curtis Moore had that one read with help from Steve Corfusi again. There are times when this Montreal offense looks very predictable.
That's right, and that would have been a good time to put the ball up in the air, even if you do it off the play action. But you're down by 24 points. You've got to be going to put some on the board.
That's the defensive coordinator, Jim Washburn, on the left, along with Ray Wilsey, who handles the secondary. 4 for 9 on 3rd downs, and problems here. And a fumble, Harvey Wilson. Danny Lockett has got the ball. This could be another touchdown for the Monarchs. 2 defensive touchdowns in a row.
And Proctor had the chance to get rid of the ball and didn't, and then looked up to see where the rush was coming from, and Howard Wilson just met him in the front.
Harvey Wilson, along with William Kirksey, made the hit on Proctor, and the man that profited the most, Danny Lockett, and this is now developing into a very one-sided rout indeed. What a game this fella's had. Now, why didn't he start the season like this?
Well, I think he came in a little bit heavy, and he certainly felt the loss of Roy Hard and the pressure from the defensive line, and I get the feeling that he tried to do too much on his own. He was coming too one-dimensional on the rush, trying to get those sacks, and it hurt his overall game.
So 2 third-quarter defensive touchdowns for the Monarchs, and Mike Proctor was the guilty man on both occasions. Alexander with the extra point, no problem there. So it's 38-7 after the 70-yard fumble return from Danny Lockett. Welcome back. Paul Aylesbury has just punted for the London Monarchs, and as you can see, everything now starting to go their way. They've downed the ball at the 1-yard line. This fella has had a good season.
Yeah, Ted Popson down underneath it, and David Harbour, the backup tight end who snaps on the punts, was down with Popson. Good kick by Aylesbury and great coverage by the Monarchs.
So to start the first quarter, as we can see, it's Dedrick Dodge who just comes up with it. Couldn't have been closer.
You take it.
It's very cool, old Dedrick, isn't he, there? He just chucks it away to a teammate.
Yeah, well, he can't run into the end zone with it. So it was a good move to get rid of the ball.
Here's a guy with an NFL future, already with the Seattle Seahawks. He's done enough in this season to warrant a much closer inspection. Cut from his own end zone, gets off a pass, and it's complete. to Pete Manley, short of a first down. Howard Feggins and Dedrick Dodge on the tackle.
We're saying that Shipley, I mean, he's a long way away from being an NFL starter, but having proved he could play center, he could be a valuable guy to keep on your roster to fill in at a number of spots.
Manley goes down after a pickup of around 8 on the tackle from Dodge. Brings up 2nd and 2, so a bit of breathing room here for the machine. Up again, dropping back and putting this one into outer space. That's come down with ice on it.
Or a bit of a roof.
Manley, the intended receiver. Howard Feggins was running step for step with Manley, but that one not a catchable ball. And there we see Mike Proctor. Not one of his better days today.
Now we got today's attendance, which is 14,600 in Montreal, with the Canadiens eliminated from the Stanley Cup, which is what Montreal lives and dies for, and the Expos on the road. It's probably a tribute that 15,000 people come out to watch a team that's already been eliminated.
Two teams that have 3 wins between them going into this one. The handoff once again, Darrell Harris cutting back inside and bouncing off Harvey Wilson. But it's good enough for first down yardage. Harvey Wilson has come up with some mega hits in this season. There was another one.
He gets a 1-2 because he goes off Curtis Moore's shoulder and then gets Wilson head on. Ping pong ball.
So Harvey Wilson, who comes in when the Monarchs switch to 5 DBs or when someone needs a break. First down, Montreal on their own 12-yard line. 4th quarter. Cup back deep, looking for a receiver. He's got an open man. That's a first down to Andre Brown, who reached high and beat Roland Smith on the coverage.
Nice catch by Brown, too, because he was watching to see what Smith was going to do, and the ball was thrown high.
So Roland Smith, who's had a very solid game at left corner, beaten that time.
And here you see Smith cuts in front of him. The ball's thrown over Smith. Keeps his eye on the ball the whole time while he's jumping. And receiving is about being, you have to be fast and you have to get open, but it's mostly concentration.
And Cup looked like he wasn't quite ready there. And Danny Lockett is after him, but Cup gets that one away and he's got an open man. That's a nice catch from the big tight end, Rich Bartlewski, the up back. And that was smart thinking from the quarterback because the snap was taken just before he was ready for it. And it's KD Dunn actually with the reception, not Bartlewski.
Right, and Cup was, okay, it was 2 smart plays because Cup was looking for someone to throw to, and Dunn ran into space to be open so he could just loft the ball, knowing he wasn't going to be able to drive a pass in. And I think you're right that he got caught by surprise here.
There it is. Whoa! Who snapped that ball? And Cup in a bit of trouble here. Lockett behind him, but he's got away. This is smart footwork. And another completion. Andre Brown close to first down yardage. The tackle from Roland Smith, but that's 2 heady plays from Craig Cup.
And it seems like he seems to throw the ball better when he's under that pressure, and he's got to just get rid of it.
Very close to first down yardage. Should bring up a second down depending on where they spot it, but it looks as if Cup has finally found his range. He was way off target in the first series, but he's just brought the bomb sights in a little bit.
And a strong arm because he's running to his right and throwing back to his left, and it still had some mustard on it.
First down, a handoff, whistles and flags, which is probably just as well for the machine because that play was dead before it started. Charlie Young was going nowhere.
Ball start. Number 73 on the offense. Prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty.
That's Dave Desrochers, the right tackle, with the man with the hair.
His hair was in motion before the...
Oh yes, you can see it quite clearly there on the right of the screen. And so that'll push the machine back another 5 yards.
And they're giving Matus a break, and number 63, Jay Butler's in at left tackle to handle Danny Lockett.
Out of the shotgun on 1st and 15, Cup puts another one up for grabs, and it has been grabbed by Chris Flynn, an Operation Discovery player, making his 2nd catch of the season. He was a quarterback in college in the Canadian leagues, and he came up with a pretty useful looking catch there.
Right, and Canada produces some good football players, although most of the ones who've gone on to the NFL have actually played in American colleges and not in Canadian college football. And St. Mary's, if I remember right, is in the Maritimes. It's not a very big university. Does a good job.
Significant that Roland Smith was the man they picked on again.
And Smith, having done a good job on man-to-man coverage, and Cup takes a good hit there.
So, the ball spotted at the 4-yard line. Cup out of the shotgun, gets hit hard, may have got back to the line of scrimmage, but that a busted play, and it was William Kirksey with great penetration.
I think they were looking for the quarterback draw there, the play that got them the first touchdown from Proctor, but Cup doesn't run it the way Proctor does, and he never even showed pass at all.
Back to the original line of scrimmage as Washburn and Wilsey look on. Ball back on the 4-yard line.
I was going to say, Roland Smith's coverage was not bad on that play. I mean, we've seen this happen in other games where the ball's been thrown up and then it's simply the receiver having better body control and watching it better.
Cup.
Oh, that's an interference.
There must be some interference there. I would have thought Andre Brown was trodden on by Roland Smith, and no flag. I think Roland, they're going to say that wasn't intentional, but there was no question of some interference there.
Yeah, its intent is not what the rule's all about.
Looked like they just tangled feet more than anything.
Yeah, but the receiver's got the right of way. I mean, if you're running, if you're standing still, he can't run through you, or you can't be penalized for standing still. But if you're running in his path, well...
Montreal are 5 for 12 on 3rd downs, and if they don't get this one, I think they'll go for it on 4th down as well. They have nothing to lose. Cup fires into the end zone, complete. Sean Russell, the linguist, comes up with a 4-yard touchdown pass. So, Sean Russell, the man who speaks every language except French, which is the only one that's doing much good in Montreal, gets the fireworks going here in the Olympic Stadium.
And it's the 350th anniversary of Montreal, so there's been fireworks all over town this weekend.
4 yards, the pick up from Craig Cup, who orchestrated a very impressive looking drive there, admittedly with the game already won by the Monarchs. They perhaps were taking their foot off the pedal a little bit there, but that, nevertheless, a good looking drive, and I think we're going to see the 2-point conversion attempt here. And why not?
Wouldn't be surprised to see Cup rolling out to the right again.
Well, as you can see, they've not done too badly in 2-point conversion situations. Looking to make it 5 on the season, and Cup going for it and not getting it. Danny Lockett making the hit that stopped 2 points. No problems for identifying the defensive MVP of this game. A bit of an argy-bargy down there on the sideline, but it's 13-38 in favour of the London Monarchs here in the 4th quarter at the Olympic Stadium. You're watching the World League on Screen Sports.
Joe Clark, the censors have had a word with Joe Clark and taken him off the airwaves.
The airwaves police have picked up Joe and carted him off. Mr. Clark, you said a 4-letter word on air. Fred McNair, 4 minutes left. That pass incomplete, intended for the backup tight end David Harbour. Less than 4 minutes.
Nice play, I shouldn't say. The pass was a little bit overthrown, but really
Birmingham sweating against Orlando. San Antonio too easy against Frankfurt.
See, Orlando's not going to let them off the hook. They're a tough team, and they can score at any time, which is why I like them so much. It's a big play offense, and they've got 2 good running backs, quarterback with a tremendous parabolic arm, Scott Mitchell, and good receivers.
It's quite an offense that Galen Hall has put together down there in the Sunshine State of Florida. 2nd down, McNair gets his pass off this time, and that'll pick up around 16 yards to Bernard Ford. 1st down, London.
I see Mr. McCall doesn't have anything to say to Bernard on that one.
I can't remember the last time they threw to another receiver apart from Ford. They're just picking on Ford and trying to get him one-on-one with Chris McCall every down.
Yep, there was one pass to Sargent, which was dropped, I think, in the 3rd quarter, which is about the only one.
So 1st down, the clock continues to tick on. The Monarchs in control, 38-13. Motion from Sargent. And barreling his way up the middle goes Victor Ebubadike, his 1st carry of the World League season. A told you you'd get in.
Yep. And, well, if Oleg's going to play, Victor's going to get his chance.
There'll be words on the sideline afterwards.
But I tell you, this is what, I mean, of all the things that the World League was intended to do, this one is the one that's the most rewarding to watch, is those players from Operation Discovery who are, you know, who we know are taking up space on the rosters in a lot of cases, but are getting now the chance to play. And really, it's only a matter, it's not a matter of skill or anything, it's a matter of experience. Getting first-class competition for somebody like Victor.
Trips left, and that's the way McNair's going. He's got his man. It's Bernard Ford again, first down, and Chris McCall played that one very deep.
You know, we've seen a number of these Operation Discovery players do a good job.
On
This
both
is Gerald
sides.
Oshevsky in Frankfurt.
Yeah,
We saw him have a
Pierce in
tremendous game.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
We saw Chris Flynn coming up with a big catch for the Montreal Machine.
But, you know, football's a complicated game, and then you look at the big guys and you say, well, you're a big lineman. All you got to do is push your way forward if you're strong. But it's not. It's about footwork. It's about speed and power. It's about how you attack your blocking, what angles you take.
Once again, they're going down that way, and this time the coverage is good for Chris McCall. He deserved that one.
Yeah, well, Ford should have had it. I think it came up off of Ford's arms. McCall, I think he thinks he's just won the World Ball.
Look there, frustrated. It was almost 6. Instead, it was an interception, and you'd have to have a very hard heart to begrudge Chris McCall this one.
And McNair airs this one out, and you see Ford circling under it. No, I take it back. McCall had it all the way. He had he had his arms in front of Ford's.
Yep, he worked for that one. Let's take another look.
It's a little bit underthrown.
Well, Oleg Sapiga will be happy. He's going to get back out there now.
And if the league ever expands to Moscow, who's going to be the offensive coordinator?
5 Montreal turnovers, a couple for London. The ones for London, though, significantly haven't mattered. The ones for Montreal have. So, just over 2 minutes remaining. Craig Cup from his own end zone. Fires, completes. Once again, it's Sean Russell coming up with the catch. But that one is judged as incomplete. Looked like he may have trapped it or just lost control of it.
You saw the official signaling with his hand by slapping the ground that the ball had hit the ground before Russell caught it. I think if Cup can get one more touchdown, he gets to get a shirt from Anthony Dilweg's boutique on St. Catherine
Which, if
Street.
he's got any taste, he won't wear. Cup intercepted, and that one is another touchdown, and it had to be Danny Lockett. It had to be, didn't it?
I think Danny Lockett was the only way he was going to get in the end zone was if he got tackled. And that one, Cup trying to force the ball, and I don't think he even saw Danny Lockett taking a very short drop there.
Oh, there's a smile from Ray.
Just about.
Is that a smile? Does that
just
qualify?
About.
Well, no smiles on that sideline. Jacques Dussault has seen the second half go from bad to worse. Danny Lockett has had the game that he's been threatening to have all season.
That's the look, Ray Wilsey. If you locked him in a phone booth with Eddie Murphy and Bill Murray and...
there's a smile now.
There it is. There it is.
There is the smile. Phil Alexander on to try the extra point. 3 defensive touchdowns for the Monarchs in the second half alone. And they have piled up 45 points against the Machine, which either means that the Monarchs have played below their potential all season, or Montreal are absolutely dreadful. Danny Lockett today, 5 sacks, 1 interception, that went for a touchdown, a fumble recovery, that went for a touchdown. That is why last year he was tri-MVP.
And here you see and you see how Cup doesn't see Lockett coming out. Lockett's in a short drop and reads Cup's eyes. Cup never sees him and throws the ball there.
And Chris Flynn was the intended receiver, and there was a delayed reaction as Flynn realized he may have to try and track down Danny Lockett, and he didn't fancy that. So, 2 minutes, 3 seconds left for the Montreal Machine. They're on their own 24 after the return.
Danny Lockett, early candidate for Defensive Player of the Week in the World League.
Cup flushed out of the pocket, Scott Miller after him, and getting close to first down yardage. They may say he went out before he got a first down.
I think you were saying just before the break, is this a case of London playing the way they should have all season, or Montreal playing badly, and it's probably a little bit of both. I think London's a little bit unlucky to be 1-6-1. There were a couple of games where they were in it, they could have won it. Some mental mistakes hurt them more than anything. So maybe they're more like a 4-4 team than a 1-6-1 team. Montreal may even be a little worse than a 2-6 team.
We see Ray Wilsey. I think one of the real pluses from this season is the way that they are finishing. This is a big win here in Montreal. If they can do the same in Frankfurt, that'll give them a good base on which they can build for next year.
Yeah, and they're a bit unlucky in terms of the fans here in London to be playing all those home games early, and a couple of them on Saturdays. Really, there's people now who, if London were coming back on a winning streak, would like to get out there to Wembley to see them play.
It's Ben Brown there, the third-string quarterback. He may get out. The way this one's going. Well, he played his college football in Tennessee State, where he was a wishbone quarterback. Yeah. Jacques Dussault's prepared to try anything at this stage.
Yeah, you'd think he might have gotten on a wishbone team, but unless you see that baseball cap come off, it doesn't look like many of the 15,000 people are still hanging around. Jim Spence, my old boss at ABC Sports, getting the XP credit.
So we're at the 2-minute warning, and it's very much a story of success for the London Monarchs here in week 9. They lead the Montreal Machine 45-13. They're going to pick up their first win since opening day, all those weeks ago when they beat New York, New Jersey. So we just run through our credits.
Well, it seems like we've run through the season. You know, it just seems like just a couple of weeks ago we got in here for the first time.
That's right.
Doing London. Was it London, Frankfurt? First
London, New York.
London,
was
New
that
York.
First one. William Kirksey with the interception return in overtime. What a thriller to start us off with. That one was. It's been a pretty rocky road for the Monarchs. Most of it very bumpy indeed. But maybe they can finish on a high. They're certainly going to finish with a win in this one. And then back to Europe, to Frankfurt next week, next Saturday. A game you'll see here on Screen Sports, 6 o'clock. Craig Cup goes down from Scott Miller, another defensive player who's had a good game today.
Everybody's celebrating now. They haven't had a lot to celebrate in the last 7 weeks. Where do you get your shirts, Anthony? That store over there on the other side of the stadium.
My white and red stripe one isn't as smart as yours, Anthony. And then between them, Mike Proctor. Not been a happy afternoon for Mike. The clock continuing to run, the pressure continuing to come. John Shannon now after Cup. Cup holding the ball out there and dumping it off to Charlie Young, and a great defensive play coming in there from Steve Corfuzzi.
And Corfuzzi's biggest strength is his quickness. He can actually, he's probably one of the few defensive linemen in the league who could keep up with the Charlie Young over the short distance. I think if he comes up with a bit more strength on the physical strength on the line, he's got a shot at an NFL job.
So out comes Greg Horn once again. So the last rites here inside the final minute. San Antonio take on Frankfurt tomorrow night here on Screen Sport at 8:30. Join us for that one. Our first look at the San Antonio Riders, who could be playoff bound. The punt from Horn. Bernard Ford is back deep, waiting for it. It's another booming punt. Ford fair catches at his own 25 seconds left. And James Lott, who also handles punt returns, the first one down there. I think there's honour among punt returners, isn't there?
Yeah. Bernard Ford has had a great game. 3 really big TD catches.
I like the rule in the World League normally where they say you've got to try and make forward progress on every play, but in this situation it's not necessary.
That's right. I mean, basically the game's over.
Everybody just wants to hit the showers and get out of there. 25 seconds left. 32 points in it.
The clock should start now.
And there'll be time probably for just one more play, maybe 2. And then London can start thinking about next week in Frankfurt. And there's some forward progress for you.
McNair burrowing his way for 2 yards.
And nobody too bothered about stopping him. And the clock continuing to run, and I don't think they're going to bother with another play. That'll just about do it here in Montreal. Ray Wilsey gets his second win, his first in 8 weeks A big one for the London Monarchs. 45-13 over the Montreal Machine, who drop horribly now to 2-7. London improved to 2-6-1. Stan Gelbar, the star in the first half, 3 touchdowns to Bernard Ford. And that'll do him some good.
Yeah, and it's some of the stuff that we've looked for them to do all season. Danny Lockett having a really big game, both on the blitz and pass coverage. Gelbaugh throwing well. Ford, great game.
So that's it. The Monarchs have won. From Mike Carlson and me, Nick Halling, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.